Oh, someone's calling me on WhatsApp.
Yeah, it's me.
I'm muted now. Okay, hey, welcome. I'm so self-aware now. Okay. Welcome to the 2Noahs podcast. I'm Noah Bunde, and here with me is my co-host and partner in crime, Noah Doman.
That's me.
That's him. We are 2Noahs. We're friends. We're living together, and we're here to talk to some of our more creative friends to figure out how they found their calling and turned their creative gigs into passions and professions. I said it wrong again. It's been a month.
We're going with it. Stop.
I know we're going with it, but it's been a while.
You already said that's we kind of.
It's fine.
This episode's not necessarily like that.
Like what? They're good.
It doesn't follow exactly by our
no.
Yeah, I mean we're branching out again. We're not doing so artsy stuff this episode. But it's been a long time. It's actually been a month since we recorded. I'm in the States now.
Which states?
Pennsylvania.
Oh, that's my favorite state.
Oh, that's crazy because that's where I'm from.
What a coincidence.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
but it's great. It's great to be back.
It's already like a Zoom call. What's your state's motto? Because all the states have mottos, right? It's like the Sunshine State, the Garden State, the Eagle State.
I don't know what Pennsylvania's motto is.
You're a good patriot, then.
Pennsylvania's motto. Now that I'm on a. Oh, our motto is virtue, liberty, and independence. That makes sense. It's a pretty bad one, though.
Yeah, I like Garden State the most. Sounds friendly.
Yeah, because of the movie.
Oh, what a movie. Zach Braff. Shout out Zach Braff.
The ending.
Let's not talk about the ending. We don't want to spoil it. But we're here today, and actually I wanted to bring something up because we talked about something the other day during our daily phone calls, daily 2-hour phone calls, which are also podcasts, but just for the two of us, for our enjoyment. We talked about a concept of a person at a dinner party or any other party, and it's called the middler. Could you explain the middler?
It's not my terminology. It's from a show. No, it's not. it's from a show called Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's great show. Check it out. It's a middler is the person who sits in the middle at dinner parties, and they're a vital role to the success of the dinner party because they need to be able to create conversation with both sides of the table and join both sides. You know, they're kind of like they're kind of like the neutral, which bring together stuff. Man, that explanation was going so well, and then it just fell.
Kind of, yeah.
But yeah,
I stopped listening for a second, but I already know what it is.
Yeah, but I've been thinking about this a lot, and the importance of middlers. I guess maybe this is what happens when you're on the verge of turning 25. You start having more dinner parties.
Oh, other things happen too when you're on the verge of becoming a 25-year-old.
You start going through puberty
again.
No, but dinner parties. I love dinner parties, and so I think it's really important. You need to make sure if you're throwing a dinner party, you got a good middler.
A meddler. Don't meddle with the food again, Noah. Would you say you're a good middler? Have you been in the position recently to middle?
Yeah, I've been a couple of times. Actually, in the past week or two, I think I'm pretty good. I think I can always work on that skill. I wonder. Yeah, I was actually thinking about this. Being loud, does that make you inherently a good middler?
It makes you annoying usually. Like everyone looks at you. You're not tossing the ball around. You're just grabbing the ball and just holding it. That's But I like that. Like it makes for more fun than. Like it's better to have a loud middler than to have a quiet middler. You don't want to have a quiet middler. Things fall apart.
No. Do you consider yourself a good middler?
I've been getting better. The podcast certainly helped. Kind of asking the right questions, picking up on the pace, Yeah. And then when I get too aware of my position as a middler, I kind of lose it a bit. Then I'm not sure how to actually do it. So I still have to practice my middler skills. But it's a very big role. It's very important.
Very important. And it's interesting because who's really good at throwing dinner parties.
I am. I had a brunch on Sunday.
Okay, no, we're not making this about you. Our next guest, my very good friend, my oldest friend, Marykathryn Ramsey.
Is she the daughter of Gordon Ramsay?
Nope. She's recently married into the Ramsey family, which I don't think have any connection. We can ask her.
Yeah, I'm going to write it down.
Add it.
Gordon? Question mark.
But Marykathryn, she is my oldest friend, and she is a physician's assistant. Americans will know what that means, but Europeans probably won't.
We'll get into it.
We'll get into it. It's a position in the healthcare industry. She really does God's work, and I love her to death, and I'm so excited to have her on. Just so people, stick around in the second half. She has a great story to tell.
I don't know the story yet, but Noah said it's the greatest story ever told. It's the funniest and best greatest
now
story.
we're hyping it up, but maybe we're hyping it up a bit too much. But it is a wild story. And I really think it showcases the American healthcare system in a beautiful way.
And the American dream.
And what were the taglines for the story? What are some things that appear?
So Noah told me when we talked about it first, he was like, "There's a great story to be told. We'll have MK, his friend, on the podcast." He said it involves tigers, human feces, and a forklift truck, amongst other things.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't there's more.
There's so much more. Oh, I'm so excited for it.
Me too.
I could hear this story so many times. But,
it's my first time, but I'm very happy I get to have my first time with someone special.
And so we're excited to have Marykathryn Ramsey on. Welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome, Marykathryn. Welcome to Zero Profit Studios. We call it that for legal reasons in Germany. Don't be nervous. We are a bunch of what's a good way to
idiots.
Describe us? Yeah. We got some questions. We got some games. And what else do we have? I think that's everything.
Most importantly, we have you. So how are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm great. How are you, Noah? Very nice to meet you, finally.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. I've heard a lot about you.
Oh, that's not reassuring.
It's all been good.
It's all been very good stuff.
Yeah, very good stuff.
Oh.
Like, there's one question though. Are you related to Gordon Ramsay in some way?
I'm not. No. Neither is my husband, unfortunately. It would have been much nicer.
Yeah, right? Because he makes the best scrambled eggs.
He does. I know. I've even tried that recipe. It's much more challenging than it looks.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow, I already like you. This is going to be great.
Unfortunately, I had to look up what creme fraiche was before I made it because I had no idea.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and in Europe it's quite common, creme fraiche.
Oh,
because it's French cream.
Yeah, not so much in America, at least in my part of America. Maybe Noah had a different experience.
I don't know. I'm so bad at cooking. Don't ask me.
It's not true.
It's not true.
I actually, Marykathryn, you're my oldest friend.
Yes.
And I believe it or not, I have the memory of us meeting for the first time. I think it's the right memory.
So do I.
Okay. I want to see if we have the same memory. Because your memory is way better than mine.
Well, I wouldn't trust this. I mean, we were so young.
Yeah, we were what, 2?
2, yeah.
Yeah. So where did we meet?
I have us meeting in Clark Hall in the junior.
What?
Freshman.
No. I had this meeting at the YMCA.
No, you're totally right.
Okay, I'm good.
You're actually,
good.
well, now that you say it, yeah, no, you're 100% right. I came to watch a swim class with your mom.
Yeah. My mom used to teach swim
Oh my
classes,
gosh, you're 100% right. Wow, one for Noah's memory.
I think that's the first time ever. Yeah, I know. I remember the awkward encounter because our parents were like, "Oh, yeah, we're at the YMCA. Do 2-year-old stuff." And I remember we just sat on the bench next to the pool.
100% right.
Oh, I'm so happy. That's the first time I've ever been right about anything in our friendship.
Wow.
That I'll let you know about.
Okay, but we actually we want to start off the show. We like to ask some easy questions so our guests feel comfortable. You work in the healthcare industry.
I do. Mm-hmm.
So my question for you is, what's the biggest flaw and the greatest benefit of the U.S. healthcare system?
Oh, goodness.
Welcome to NPR.
Like a presidential debate. Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess my soapbox the biggest flaw, in my opinion, is preventative medicine and actual education. I think it goes 2 ways. One, providers have to be willing to educate, which takes more time, right, than just prescribing a pill or the easy fix. And the second part is people have to be willing to listen. And I have found, practicing in the U.S., that that is often lacking in both cases. But especially in patients, they often don't want to hear what they have to do to fix. They'd rather you say, well, what can you do right now? What can you give me until I get to it? And so they're never going to get to it, right? They just want you to fix them. So I would say that that's the biggest flaw. But the biggest benefit in America, I think, is we have the highest standard of medicine in the world. And I think that the education system here is unparalleled when it comes to continuing education as a provider, and giving your patients the best choices they have when they're moving forward. Also, if you hear bumping, it's because my dog wants to come in the room. So I apologize.
You have the cutest dog, Bentley. Such a cute dog.
Is it a car or is it a dog?
Well, that's the story. It's a dog, but
your car wants to enter the room.
Yeah.
That was a great answer. Wow, that was impressive.
Yeah.
Oh, I think about it a lot.
But it's so great that physicians' assistants can afford to have a Bentley, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what's in my life. Yes, I can't afford it. As no one knows, I just flush.
That's the lifestyle.
Flush with cash.
Can you explain what a physician's assistant is? What do you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So a physician assistant is really only practices in the U.S. There are some places in the U.K. that they're allowed to practice, but it was developed during World War II as a means of giving healthcare system to the troops overseas that weren't doctors because there was a shortage. And so they work to bring healthcare to everyone in the same manner doctors do. So they're trained in the same path that an MD would be trained in, the same courses in a shorter period of time. So it allows them to have less debt. They're not autonomous. They practice under a doctor. But I have prescribing rights for everything, including narcotics. And if I wanted to, I could prescribe Suboxone. I choose not to prescribe Suboxone, but I could, change that if I wanted to. And they first assist in surgery, they diagnose, they treat, and they act as a physician would under the purview of a physician.
I feel like that was such a specific drug to bring up, and I have no clue what that drug is.
Oh, Suboxone is methadone. Do you know what methadone is?
Yes.
It's like methadone, yeah. So Suboxone, methadone are drugs to assist you with quitting addiction with heroin, and so that those sort of things I could prescribe if I wanted to. I just choose not to. It's its own class of prescription. I can prescribe methadone in the hospital, in the setting of the hospital, which I do there, but I don't want to do it outpatient because that's a whole nother level of treating patients that I think should be left to the specialists who practice addiction medicine, and that's not my specialty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not asking because I have experience. I'm just asking.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like that's a big issue in Pennsylvania. Or, I mean, in the United States as a whole. Do you treat a lot of patients who are suffering from addiction?
Yeah, we have a lot of, especially heroin addicted patients, yes. Mm-hmm. But a lot of it is the location where I practice, right? So, Noah, I practice in North Philadelphia, which is one of the highest crime rated areas and lowest poverty levels in Philadelphia and in the country at large. So, there's, where there's less income, there tends to be more addiction, obviously. And so that is a big problem for my patients, not necessarily what they come in for, but, things you end up treating. Because if they're not getting their drugs on the street, obviously they're going to go into addiction, or into withdrawal. So we have to still treat them for it when they're in the hospital.
Mm-hmm. So wait, so what do you specifically do in the hospital?
I am a trauma surgery PA. So I work on trauma patients, and then I also work on vascular patients. We rotate on and off, me and one other PA, between the two services, and yeah.
I was going to ask if like you can prescribe medicine. Did you study it at university, or like how do you become a physician's assistant?
I did, yeah. I went through a lot of education.
I bet.
I did an accelerated program, so one of the few left actually in the U.S. There's not very many. I did it in 5 years, so I did my undergrad and my master's in 5 years. So I essentially did my undergrad in 3 years and then accelerated my master's even further into 2 years. And then a year of rotation training, so, going all over, practicing and learning in person, like a residency for doctors.
So what's the normal program like?
Now it's more 7 years to become a PA.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's a long time. Isn't that as long as a doctor, or is a doctor
Well, that's
11?
including undergrad. For a doctor, it'd be more like 11 in total.
Oh, God. It's such a long amount of
Depending,
time.
yeah.
That's so...
yeah.
But it's good, though. It's good, though. Right?
I think it's important.
Yeah, that they know their stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if I would do 5 years when I tell other people, when they're considering doing PA, 5 years is quite a fast amount of time to learn all that information. And if you're looking at quality of life, I definitely wouldn't recommend it. But if you're looking at financial benefits, then it's probably worth it. But to seriously consider your pros and cons.
In Germany, we have some issues with doctors and hospitals. Not as big as in other countries, but we do have a lot of overworked doctors. So they have 30, 40 year shifts, hour shifts. And to me, that's insane because you wouldn't allow a truck driver to drive a truck for so long, but you allow a doctor to make choices after being awake for more than 20 hours, 30 hours on the job with little sleep. And it feels a bit, weird that we still accept this as the condition we have right now. Is it the same in the States that you have doctors and PAs working crazy hours?
PAs, I work long hours. I'm never gonna work a 20-hour shift like that. Residents will, if they're on a 24-hour. At least at Einstein, there are mandates and restrictions in place for residencies to prevent that kind of overexhaustion, whether they consistently stick to those measures in high stress times like COVID, that's a different discussion. But in terms of trauma surgery, and keeping in mind the residents I work with are surgery residents, so one of the higher ends of the working spectrum, if not the most overworked group of doctors. And for our trauma surgeons, yes, there are times that they will work 24, 32, 48 hours if they're on call at night, and then they, have to still practice during the day and operate. The other doctors will kind of try and cover and let them sleep during the day to help with the burden. But, if you had a summer like we did, which with the highest, gunshot rate on record, then sometimes that break doesn't exactly come. But ideally, the other doctors would kind of cover and allow them to rest, and then they get back on it. But yeah, absolutely, the actual attendings can work that long.
Wow, that's shocking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So what are the most common cases that you see coming into the hospital?
I think, as to be expected, we see a lot of gunshots, GSWs, and a lot of car accidents. I guess what surprised me is starting to work in trauma, which I don't think when you look at me or when you meet me or when you know me, you would ever expect me to work in trauma. That's where life took me. But auto versus pedestrian, so a vehicle versus a pedestrian, is very common. And some of, I think, our most severe cases have been from cars hitting pedestrians, which was, I don't know, alarming. I guess I just, living life, never saw all these cars like running off the road and hitting people. But apparently that's what happens quite frequently.
Yeah, wow. You really do God's work. I'm like...
No, we certainly do God's work. I just make it possible.
So how do you assist the surgeons then?
I do a lot of the on-the-floor patient work, so, all the kind of prescribing what they need to do. I look at all their labs, I interpret them, assist in that way, and then I'll go into surgery once or twice a week, depending on how busy the floor is, because also the residents also have to operate, and they have to get numbers that way, so we just kind of balance it out and do what we can. This week... Or right now I'm vascular, so, I'll help with some amputations. I did a skin graft a couple of days ago. But yeah, I'll go in and assist with whatever I can. I think it's a teamwork. You have to be willing to go wherever.
And for our people who don't know what a skin graft is, what could you explain that?
Oh, sure, yeah. I'm so bad at that. A skin graft is taking an autologous, so your own piece of skin usually, and placing it onto an area that hasn't completely healed, but the area that has been prepared usually so that they know it'll be accepting a skin graft, meaning there's been some sort of injury, the wound hasn't been able to close all the way, something that wouldn't allow the skin to approximate or come together. And so we use a skin graft from that person's body somewhere else, usually the thigh, if it's on the arm, something like that. And you place it, you shave off a piece of skin and you put it over the wound and allow it to heal. So there's no exposed tissue and it's minimal scarring.
My grandfather, maybe you know this, Marykathryn, like his ear was bitten off by a dog.
Yes.
And then they graft his skin to replace that part of his ear. Is that correct?
His ear. Yes.
God, that's wild. Medicine is crazy,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know why I feel like we still live in the 1800s, and then I hear stuff like this, and I'm like, oh no, it's 2022. It's amazing.
But in there's some areas in medicine where I still feel like we live in the 1880s.
Oh, absolutely. I was going to say the same thing now.
Yeah. There's like some things are pretty old. Like I feel like there's always like dermatology, for instance, anything skin related. I usually feel like it's like, oh, you should use cortisol, or like come back in 2 weeks and we'll look at it again and see what happens.
Yes.
It's like, I'm not sure if they actually have a clue what's going on a lot of the times. It's just a rash. It might go away. It might stick. We'll see what happens.
It's so true.
I mean, are you? I remember a few years ago you saying you were interested in dermatology. Is that still? Is that like an end goal?
It used to be. It used to be the only goal, and I had 2 job offers: one for a med spa in Florida, and one for this position. And I think everyone, including myself, expected to take the job in Florida. It made sense, in terms of my relationship and everything else. But I had gone to school for so long, I realized, and I had passed boards, and I was sitting there ready to practice. And kind of the cool thing about being a PA in the U.S. is that you can switch specialties whenever you want, given someone hiring you, because you've trained in all of it. And I took boards in everything. And so, pigeonholing myself into dermatology at the time seemed like it would be difficult to make a career move in the future if I chose to do so, given that I was going to start practicing at 23 and had my whole career ahead of me. And so I didn't go for it. I went for trauma, which was quite the leap of faith, but I don't regret it at all. I think I learned so much more on a daily basis. I have vastly more experience and a lot more perspective than I would have working at a med spa in Florida.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think it'll be a nice retirement gig. It's great money, but I think for now I'd rather use and apply the years of knowledge I worked hard to get and to learn from the most incredible surgeons. So I'm very lucky that way.
So why are you so fascinated with dermatology?
I think it's because everything presents on the skin. There are so many conditions and so many pathologies that have underlying symptomatology on the skin and are often the most indicative, right? So people won't pay attention to necessarily the internal processes, or I feel tired. Who knows why I feel tired? Maybe it's just because I haven't been sleeping well. I don't have a lot of energy, X, Y, and Z. But when a rash appears, or when they have these bumps forming, or there's a growth, that's when they're like, whoa, right? What's going on?
Something's manifesting here.
Yeah, exactly. And it's usually something that with that sort of systemic pathology, it's usually something that has been brewing for a while that then manifests on the skin. And I think that that's very interesting. It could be from, just a purely cosmetic standpoint, and it can be a very significant pathology, or, things like lupus.
But it's never lupus. Really
it's never lupus, I know. The butterfly rash, everyone wants it to be. Yeah. They come in, I think I have it. You're like, I don't think you do. I think you're sunburned. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, I mean, I totally know what lupus is.
It's an autoimmune disease. It's Selena Gomez famously has it.
Oh,
that's why she got her kidney transplant. Yeah, she kind of brought it to the forefront of pop culture.
So everyone wants to be like Selena.
I would, and maybe not with the lupus, but I personally would not be opposed to being like Selena Gomez.
It was also always a recurring bit in House MD that everyone would just...
Yes.
They would also test for lupus, but it was never lupus.
It's true.
But once it was lupus, but usually it's never lupus.
Yes. It's true. It's funny, yeah.
Are you a big fan of the I don't know, hospital TV shows like House MD, for instance?
No, I was just talking about this. I used to watch Grey's Anatomy in high school. My sister and I were like very much Grey's Anatomy fans. We were late onto the bandwagon because we were younger when it came out. But we kind of hopped on it. I don't know what season, maybe 9, I think it was, 8, 9. Now they're on season like 92. But when I went into college and I even remotely started being ingrained into the medical field, I kind of lost all respect for the show. And now that I work with residents and in a hospital, I have even less respect for it. So it's just kind of absurd and pretty insulting to the people I work with that that's how they portray their lives.
Yeah, is your life filled with juicy drama all the time?
It is every day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it more?
I actually don't work at all. All I do is put out drama fires. Yeah, patient care. It's like whatever. I spend my entire day discussing everyone's sex life. For sure.
So would you say your life is more like Grey's Anatomy or Scrubs?
Oh, jeez.
Do you have a lot of daydreams? Walk around the hospital?
I do. I just kind of zone out, and have it from a third view perspective.
Yeah.
Someone narrates in my head. Like Meredith Grey at the beginning of every episode, I have profound thoughts when I walk into the hospital. Mm-hmm. Not at all that it's freezing cold outside. I wish I was. Yeah. I'm very deep like that. Ask Noah. Very constantly.
Yeah, all the time.
Words of wisdom.
I'm trying to talk to her, and she's out to lunch. I have no clue.
Just come back to Earth.
We have one more question before we go into a little break. We were wondering, could you tell us the day in the life of a PA?
I should do one of those videos.
Oh, I love these videos.
Yeah, you should. Yeah. You should be a PA vlogger.
Bring PA awareness. So for me, again, every PA, because there's so many different specialties, very much depends. For me, I'm incredibly lucky, especially as a new grad. I work 4 10-hour shifts, or they're supposed to be 10 hours. That's variable. But 10-hour shifts, and I work Tuesday through Friday, and I don't take call, and I don't work weekends or major holidays. So, again, this is very select and incredibly rare. But, yeah, I go into the hospital between 5:45 and 6:45, depending on the day. Sometimes I get there at 6. I see the patients, I round with the residents. We look at them, kind of come up with our plans, start enacting the plans. In terms of trauma, we have a trauma conference every single day. to discuss the plans for the patient with all of the attendings. So everyone sits down as a team. It's very educational. They look at all the imaging, they look at all the labs, and they make a plan for the patients from there. And I say that because I hear a lot of people, understandably, kind of discuss surgeons and, they never ever, a new surgeon comes to see me every day. No one ever talks to me. I don't think they talk to each other. There's no plan. And I get very defensive of my surgeons because they're very, very invested. And there's few people I know who care more than they do. And they really work their butts off to save patients' lives. And they discuss it every single day, every lab value, every piece of imaging. So it's pretty impressive. We kind of come up with the final plans. We go from there and enact them. I do a lot of floor tasks, making sure people's tubes are in the right place, placing tubes, taking tubes out, specifically like nasogastric tubes. They go from your nose to your stomach to decompress your bowel. And then I round with the attendings and I talk to patients' families and the patients and the nurses and coordinate care, help people get discharged. And then I go home somewhere between 5 and 7. Or 8 p.m.
Yeah. Wow, that's a day full of work. So you don't do what Noah and I do and open up YouTube videos and sit around trying to make the day pass. You actually have to do important things.
I do stuff. yeah, it's important, but
Are you a morning person? Because you have to be there so early. Do you like to get up early?
Yeah, I'm a morning person. Yeah, absolutely.
Are you cheerful too in the morning? Are you a big cheerful morning talking person?
I don't know. Am I cheerful in the morning?
Yeah, you're pretty. I mean, we've had some 9 a.m. talks, and you're awake. I feel like people who work in healthcare are like morning and night people.
Yeah, that's a struggle. Actually, the first time I did it overnight, when I was like training, I was like, I am not made for the nightlife. That was not good for me. My brain was suboptimal. I knew I was making very poor decisions. I was like, this is not good. I should not be in a field when I work the graveyard shifts. So when I actually was looking for jobs, that was something I specifically was not looking at. Some people can and thrive in it and like can really make their life work around it. That I am not. I'm like I can do late evening, but I would much rather get up at 4 even than I would do an overnight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean I did a exchange program once, and the host family's father, shout out to the Rui Lobos, great family.
Yes.
He's a OBGYN. And I mean, like, the hours that he would just like get up and leave, because babies, they don't work when you want, they come out whenever. Yeah.
They're like, we're here.
I feel like, I felt like sleep for him was a luxury.
Yes. And yet his son still went and did it too.
I know. A family of OBGYNs.
So cool. Yeah.
It's so cool. So cool. Would you ever consider doing work like that?
Oh God.
Working with babies?
I love babies and little humans. I think I would be more of, they are the best. I think I would lean more towards peds than I would OBGYN.
And pediatrician.
Pediatrics, yep. Just because I like all ages of kids, I think it's so cool to interact with them all. And I think there's so much to be said for that. I think OBGYN is a true calling, and I give everyone credit who does it. I don't know if it's mine. I like the babies when they're fresh out, but I don't really want to deal with the in-between stuff, so I think I'd leave it to the people who love it more. Maybe, but you know what? I never thought I'd be in trauma or in surgery, so you never know.
Is this a good time to take an ad break?
Oh, we can take an ad break.
Ad break that doesn't have any
no
ads.
You don't have to skip it.
Yeah.
I play the ukulele. Music. Yeah, it's a song I wrote.
Is this new music? Oh, okay, I'm gonna do when you're like coming home from a day of work and you want something refreshing. In no way is this podcast sponsored by Spindrift, but
I knew
when Marykathryn, this is an important. Spindrift is a fabulous drink. It's sparkling water with real squeezed fruit. It's what you need on a hot, cold, whatever day, and you just want to relax. It just
it doesn't matter how many you drink in a day. You still want.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, I personally drink around 4 to 7 50. A day, and it's definitely a problem. But yeah, it's Spindrift. Enjoy it. The music.
That was actually I was gonna say the timing there, impeccable.
It was almost perfect. So yeah, that was just a public service announcement. We're not sponsored by them.
Yeah, drink a Spindrift. Enjoy your life.
And listen to 2Noahs. Because 2Noahs
is to love us.
That was bad.
Marykathryn, do you like our new tagline?
I don't particularly. No.
Really? So one of my friends
to Noah to love us. No.
Like one of my friends' dads. This is not our creation. We're not that good.
We're not that
like I think it's so but also like our whole premise for a podcast was we're like, whoa, we live together and both of our names are Noahs. Let's start a podcast, which is probably the worst premise ever. But luckily we sound very professional. But to know us is to love us, people. Thank you.
Okay, that was better. I think it's the way you say it.
But you don't like it if he says 2 Noahs and then I say to love us?
I think there was a delay, the intonation, I'm not sure. But the second time, good.
Thanks. We need some constructive criticism. That was very constructive.
Yeah, Marykathryn's great at it. Yeah, I'm really excited because I think we're probably gonna get the most viewers or listeners on this. I shouldn't say viewers. This isn't a video format, but listeners on this podcast solely because of your family.
That's true. They're all very excited for it.
You come from a very big family.
I do, quite large.
Oh, you have a family.
I do. I'm one of 7 kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like your siblings?
I do. Yeah. I love my siblings. Yeah, we actually have quite a good relationship most days.
Yeah, Marykathryn's family is the family that if you don't have one, you can just use her family. They'll come to your graduation.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they'll come to your soccer games. I feel like they're awesome. I love all of them.
My parents believe in adopting people, so you may not even need adopting.
Without the paperwork.
Yeah, 7 wasn't enough.
No, yeah. They got a lot of love to share, my parents.
How big is your house?
Not as big as one would think, given how many siblings I have. Decent sized, right? I think it's a typical suburban house. But it's not huge. Yeah.
But you don't all live there.
We don't all. Yeah, I should clarify. We don't all live there. None of us actually live there currently.
Oh, your parents must. I know you guys visit a lot.
A lot. I was there till 8 o'clock last night. They're not lonely. They would want to be more lonely. My dad would say.
So Marykathryn, you actually have a wild story. Right, to tell on the podcast, yeah.
Yes, I do.
This is our moment where you where we give you the stage for this story, which would you say it's a great representation of the American healthcare system?
I don't think so.
No.
I think it's actually important to emphasize that this is an anomaly, and I hope to never have to do this again. This came about because I was just relaying my day to Noah. I wasn't even, expounding on the fact that this was so bizarre, but he found it immensely entertaining, and so have other people, including my husband, I should add. But
yeah, it's pretty strange that you thought that this is you really were telling it like it was a normal day in PA, yeah. And I was just there with my jaw on the floor.
He was. And I saw a lot of shocking things in my life, but Noah was just so blown away by this. But I have a typical day. I guess, part of the life of being in surgery or any specialty in medicine is you get consulted for your specialty, mine being surgery. And we got a consult for a patient who had extensive wounds, or they thought they did. And sometimes wounds require surgical debridement. So that was valid. So we went up and took a look at the patient. And I did some chart checking beforehand. And in the US, we do not use kilograms as our standard use, metric of weight. Mm-hmm. But in medicine, we do. But sometimes you look at a weight and you're like, that can't be what I think it is, right? So I took a look at the patient, took a look at the chart, and I was like, no, maybe that's accurate. I go upstairs and see him, and he was indeed 700 pounds. Oh, it was like 635, right?
For Europeans, that's like 300 kilograms.
Correct. So I had seen 300 kilograms in the chart, and I was like, no. That they must have put 300 and then kilograms instead of putting 300 pounds, mm-hmm. right? Because it's like,
Yeah, that would be like 100 something.
Exactly, yeah, like 125 kilograms or something.
That happens.
Exactly. So I thought this is a reasonable mistake, and I was ready to correct the necessary people. But I went up and take a look at the patient, and I was like, no, he is indeed 675 pounds or something like that. And so, challengingly, and I may be shocking to Europeans, but there are many overweight people in the U.S. It is a pandemic in terms of obesity, but it is incredibly unusual to get that size patient. And so our facilities are not designed to handle that weight. That is the size of like a Mini Cooper. And so I went up, and our beds are not big enough to roll a patient in and still be able to tolerate his weight. Well, truly, there wasn't enough room to roll the patient anywhere. So I'm trying to examine him as best I can. And I'm not a tiny person, but I am not capable of moving 700 pounds for him. And he has not been ambulatory since 2017. So it's been 4.5 years since he has walked.
Oh, God.
On his own or gotten up. And I'm trying to evaluate him, and we can't. So I go to the surgeon who's in the operating room, and I'm like, Doc, we have this consult. I can't evaluate him. Here's why. And he's like, MK, are you serious? And I was like, I am very serious. This is how big he is. And we have a problem because they think he's bleeding from one of these wounds, and we cannot tell. So we instruct the team who is in charge of his care to get a CAT scan, a CT scan. And they're like, okay, we're going to try. So they call down to our radiology department, and they're like, we're going to send this patient for a scan. And the radiology department is like, well, you can try, but our CT scanner will break.
It's not rated for that.
Because, nope. It maxes out at 550 pounds. So at first we're like, does he really need the scan? Like, is there some other way we can examine him? Can we push 3 beds together and roll him over? And then we talked to our physical therapists who have some experience in that, and they're like, do not do that. The brakes will give out, and then you'll end up with the 700-pound man on the floor who can't get up, and if he bears weight, his femurs will fracture. So that didn't seem like a plausible solution. Then we were like, maybe we should see if there's a forklift in the basement that we can use and kind of create a lift machine to evaluate the rest of the patient. Well, it turns out our miniature forklift thing also maxes out at like 550 pounds. Additionally, not even counting the fact that it was not designed for human use or on humans. That was going to be another hurdle. So finally, I'm like, we really, in order to, evaluate this patient, we have to get imaging. There's no other way for me to see him. I can't move him. And so I called the zoo, and I was like, do you have a CT scanner that I can use for our patient who is 700 pounds? And the zoo was like, yeah, absolutely. We've done this before. And I was like, well, that's very convenient. Thank you. And they were so happy to, and so friendly, willing to work with me. And I was like, this is fantastic. What colleagueship. So I set the patient up right. I'm like, we're going to have to take you to another facility that has the ability to image you. And he was like, oh, okay, that's very nice. Where am I going? And I was like, a very old establishment in Philadelphia.
Oh, no.
The zoo. And there's no way, I tried a lot of different ways with myself on how I was going to present this to him without coming across as irreverent. And it turns out there's not many ways of saying it, no matter how nicely you pitch your voice. And it's just not, and it always sounds bad. Mm-hmm. So, I just kind of owned it, and I was like, this is why I have to do it, and I want to make sure you get the best care. He was less than thrilled, and he threw a milk carton at my head.
What?
And I was like, you know what? You just kind of take it in stride. I would also be upset if I was told I had to go to a zoo. So it's okay. Let's take a breath. I don't often like having things run in my head, so I wouldn't usually be that patient. But I was like, this guy's going through something. Feel that way. Yeah. So I went back down, and I get a call again from the zoo, and they're like, do you have a way of transporting him here? And I was like, haha, I do not. I did not think of that. Thank you. And I was like, do you have a zoo-like vehicle that I could use that maybe you use to transport large mammals? And they were like, we do have one of those that would be able to withstand that. We have a zoo truck. And I was like, wow, thank you so much. So they were going to bring their zoo truck.
They're so helpful.
Truly, kudos to Philadelphia Zoo. Very, very, very friendly.
Shout out to Philadelphia Zoo.
The patient care there for not their patients, exemplary. So that's fine. We get a call back from the zoo one more time, and they're like, by the way, we forgot to mention that our tiger had MRSA, and are you okay using a CT scanner even if our tiger had MRSA? We just wanted to make you aware of that. You might, if you were to contract it, you would have to treat MRSA that the tiger had.
What's MRSA, by the way?
MRSA is methicillin-resistant Staph aureus. So it is methicillin is a very strong antibiotic. Yeah, I'm going to bye-bye. Penicillins are a class of antibiotics. That's what like amoxicillin and, those typical drugs you would get. All of those are that class of drugs. This bacteria is resistant to. So you can't use your typical antibiotics on this bacteria. MRSA happens in humans all the time. It's not great. So you have to use very, very strong antibiotics. Usually something like vancomycin, which not only is very strong, it's also very expensive. They call it actually liquid gold vancomycin. That's how expensive it is per vial. So to not have your typical arsenal of antibiotics to use to fight a pathogen in someone who is already immune compromised because of his weight, who has wounds, and we're going to have to treat said wounds, which are usually Staph aureus. That's the bacteria that colonizes your skin. That's challenging. And so the zoo was like, are you prepared to treat tiger MRSA? And I was like, interestingly enough, I'm not, because I did not go to veterinary school. But let me check with my attendings. Maybe they have some big cat veterinary knowledge I am not aware of. So I went to them and I was like, Doc, we have a situation. The zoo is having a MRSA outbreak with their tigers who recently got scanned. Are you still comfortable with the patient going to get scanned if we then have to treat them for tiger MRSA? And the doctors kind of just looked at me and I was like, I felt like I knew that answer. I felt like I did, but I should check with you, just to have the final say. Since you are the attendings. And they were like, okay, they were, pirates have bad mouths supposedly and sailors, but no, surgeons have much worse. And they were like, okay. Absolutely not in their own way. Mm-hmm. And I was like, fair. So I go back to the team that's taking care of him. I'm like, we won't be able to take him to the zoo, despite their very nice concessions and assistance, because of the tiger MRSA, unless you want to treat said things. And they're like, nah, we Gucci. So I went up and told the patient, I said, the tiger has an infection. It would be dangerous to you and it would not be worth the risk. The benefit does not outweigh the risk to take you to the zoo and expose you to this pathogen when you already have so much going on. Even in someone who is completely healthy, I don't think it'd be worth it. So you're in no immediate risk. I'm not going to take you. We're just going to watch you very closely and proceed from there. If it becomes immediately necessary, we'll arrange it and we'll take that risk, but I don't think that it is. He did not like that answer, so he threw a tray at my head this time. And yeah, that was it. He left the hospital. He was very unhappy with all of us. And he went home to continue binge eating, I presume.
Wait, so how did he get home?
I didn't arrange his transport, but I know he got to the hospital by fire truck, like one of those lift things, because the ambulances aren't...
They aren't also equipped to or rated for the weight of the... Yeah.
Exactly.
I think the worst part is you're doing your best to help this person, and the throwing of objects. Is this a daily occurrence at your hospital?
No, it's not. It's really not. And I've had to break some really terrible news to people, but I've never had someone throw objects at me except him. I've had other stuff happen, but never throw objects at me. It was my fault. He was 700 pounds, as you know. And so it was only
still agile
to
enough to throw stuff.
Yeah, well,
Other than
he
himself.
also threw something at the nutritionist's head because she wouldn't give him more food.
Oh,
but,
God.
so it just seemed to be his coping mechanism,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, for all of us who were
But
in
I'm
the room.
surprised that the hospital didn't give you a security guy to go in the second time. Someone to catch the milk packet.
If I had thought to call security, they absolutely would have come. They're very nice and amenable at the Einstein. That's the hospital I work at, but I didn't think to do that. So that's really on me. I own that. Yeah.
God. Did he hurt you? Did you?
No. He could throw it, but I could dodge. It wasn't. He didn't have the strength to
actually hurt you.
Yeah, it was pretty easy to kind of nudge out of the way. But it was, I think it was, it was like the day before I came home I took off for Christmas, the week between Christmas and stuff. And it was that day, and I was going to a Christmas party with my family. And my husband, I got home late, and he was like, "Are you okay?" I mean, it's not unusual for me to get home late, but it was just a little bit later even than would have been expected. I was like, this guy kept throwing trays at my head. I was talking to the zoo. And my husband was like, "I'm so lost about your day.
Are you
Why is the zoo involved?" And so it just kind of like became this thing. And so now anytime someone wants to know what I do, my husband's like, "She treats tiger murder." So it's misleading, actually, to my occupation.
Wow, that is an insane story.
Yeah, it has everything. It really does.
Yeah, I think it's one of those like career peaks, like I'll always have that story.
Yeah. Do we have human feces too? Because human feces was on the list.
The guy peed on me? The one who peed on me?
Oh, yeah. But that's another person. Yeah.
Yeah, that was someone else. No, they're not. He didn't throw it that at me.
Sounds like a Donald Trump situation here.
Yeah. I'm not selling the PA profession very well. That's really a rarity. I really need to emphasize that.
Getting peed on.
That's why we talked about it after
MRSA.
That's why we talked about it after the day in the life. This is
that's
not
right,
a day in the
yeah.
life. This is something extraordinary, even for your standards.
That's correct. And I think I could speak for my attendings too. They've seen it all, but that was also quite a situation.
Oh, God. Well, thank you so much, Marykathryn, for doing that, so that Noah and I can do terrible podcasts.
Sure. I mean,
thank you for your work.
You and the podcast. I'm committed to the art. Very.
We have one last segment, right, Noah?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we usually. Oh, that was a nice voice crack. We usually do a round of
Can you do that
rapid
again?
fire.
You should have heard him doing puberty.
So true. We have usually a round of rapid fire questions, but we make it specific to our interviewee. So we thought we would do a round of rapid fire medical questions. I will be sending you images through WhatsApp.
Okay.
It actually doesn't have to be very rapid. And we want you to describe the image so that, our listeners don't have to see it themselves, and diagnose what the condition is.
God.
You think you're up for the task?
Can I ask how you know you're correct with the diagnosis?
I Googled it, and then I took the first picture.
Okay. I was afraid of that.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, no, so it's if you get it wrong, you're fired.
That's fair.
We talked to Einstein. The hospital.
Yeah, they're listening in on this. Okay. Okay, you ready for the first one? Are you on WhatsApp? I'm really hope I'm sending it to you, because whoever sees this, I feel really bad. Okay.
Oh.
This is
I can send it to you too, Noah.
Yeah,
herpes simplex virus type 2, I think is the diagnosis. Oh, I'm supposed to describe it.
Yeah, describe it.
In medical terms, that's probably not going to work. It is a whitish, what we would describe as vesicular rash, so kind of a blistering looking rash on the lip, specifically the vermilion border, which is the border between your skin and your lip, with some yellow crusting, so it could have an element of impetigo to it. But I would say it looks like herpes simplex type 2.
You are correct.
Wow.
Oh,
yeah.
So good. So good. Okay.
But I do think it might be infected, but that's for another day. Oh. Okay. So it looks like the shoulder of someone. And there is a red, erythematous means red circular patch with 2 shades. They kind of look like rings.
I would the way I would describe it is go to a doctor. Something's wrong.
Yeah.
Go get that checked out.
I agree. Please don't take any of this as medical advice. That's also important. This is Tinea curious, which is ringworm.
Oh, good. You're so good. Yeah. I know a guy who might have had or might not have had ringworm for 3 years, and so my advice is always shower after wrestling, and don't scratch it.
How do you
It's actually
treat
my
it?
first exposure, said guy with ringworm. I think about it every time I treat it.
Yeah. How do you treat it? I tried so many different methods, but
usually we give oral antifungals.
Ooh.
Yeah, because it's a fungus. It's not
It is a fungus. It is not a worm, not a parasite. It's a fungus. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, you ready for the next one? You're 2 for 2.
Uh-oh, yeah. I guess I am. But,
okay.
oh, okay. This is the left eyeball of someone.
Ooh, that doesn't look good.
Purulent whitish discharge and some yellowish discharge. And the eyeball itself is very erythematous, so it's very red. Some swelling of the eyelid. This is, I would probably say bacterial conjunctivitis, which is bacterial pink eye. There's different types of pink eye.
It's pink eye. It is. Wow, 3 for 3. And Marykathryn, is it a myth that if you fart into a pillow and someone sleeps on that pillow, you will get pink eye?
Yeah. I mean, there's bacteria that's there that, you could pick up from someone, but there's not necessarily a direct correlation between, instantly if someone farts on your pillow, you're going to get pink eye. It's more commonly spread, someone has pink eye, doesn't know it, sleeps on your pillow, and then you get pink eye. Pink eye is very, very contagious. Bacterial conjunctivitis is very, very contagious.
Okay. Well, you heard it here. Fart on people's pillows. It's all good.
I did actually give my future husband, or at the time was my future husband, conjunctivitis when we first started dating.
Did you fart on his pillow?
I didn't. I didn't know I had pink eye, and I slept on his pillow. And
With your head.
With my head, important point. Yeah, we were on his parents' boat in the British Virgin Islands, and I took a nap in his bunk, and I ended up waking up with my eyes all sorts of glued shut. And I got a very mild case. It went away one day later. He, however, got a very severe case, was in both eyes, had it for a week.
Oh, God.
Yeah. It's a real way to get close when you've been dating for 2 weeks.
Yeah, fighting through pink eye together.
Yeah, he's never let me live it down.
But you can experience your relationship in with all the other senses then.
That's right.
Because you can't see each other. Yeah.
I judge him actually for staying with me.
Okay, Marykathryn, you're 3 for 3.
Okay.
You have one last one.
It's the bonus one.
Okay.
It's a bonus.
Yeah, bonus round. Are you ready?
Yes. Okay. I have to open this because I can't even see what I'm looking at. What are you showing me, Noah?
Is that your ball
Looks
sack?
like someone's thigh? No, it's their stomach. It's their stomach. I actually don't even know what I'm looking at here.
Is it like a scar? Is it just you?
Looks like
it's just pictures of my 3 freckles. I wanted you to say something like,
I was gonna say
it's freckles. Cancer, and
I actually thought you were gonna send a picture of your chest, and I was gonna have to name it. I was so ready for that.
Oh, my chest condition. That would have been way better. I don't know why. I was like, maybe I've heard that freckles could be skin cancer. Is that correct? I have no clue. I'm not any.
Yes, there are spots that look like freckles that could be cancerous.
Well, you're so good. You're so good. When I sent you nothing and just a picture of my stomach, you knew it was nothing.
I do think you should probably moisturize, honey.
Oh, don't say that. But I only moisturize my legs.
You don't moisturize your skin.
I moisturize my legs.
Do you not use coconut oil to moisturize?
I don't anymore.
Noah's such a Schmidt.
You're such a Schmidt. Noah, we just
we're not kidding.
I know, but Noah's such a Schmidt. Noah would sit on his bed and moisturize his legs and say something very odd, and it's beautiful.
Was he using coconut oil though? That's the question.
I wasn't doing it on my bed. I put my foot up on the sink, and then I do it as if people are watching me do it. Like, I try and be as sensual as possible, but but it's just me.
And me.
I think that makes it sadder. I'm not gonna lie to you.
No, I don't use coconut oil anymore. You actually told me to stop using coconut oil.
That's right. That was a test. I wanted to know whether you took my advice seriously.
Yeah, you also. I'm such an idiot. Do you also remember I had a sty once?
Yes, I do.
Multiple times. And I was treating the sty with apple cider vinegar.
Which is a terrible life decision, everyone who's listening.
So I was applying apple cider vinegar. I don't know what the heck I thought I was doing, but I thought maybe the apple cider vinegar would kill the sty. And I was applying it onto a rag and then putting it on my eye, which then you told me could possibly make me go blind.
Well, I was so alarmed because he came to me and I was like, have you been smoking? He looked high out of his mind. And I was like,
no.
What is going on? But only in his one eye, so I was very confused. But luckily, he was only using apple cider vinegar, and I was like, this is very alarming. Stop immediately.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure those were stress dyes. I think everything in my life, all of my weird ringworm, I think the ringworm became stress ringworm. The sty was stress dyes. Yeah. Is that possible?
Ringworm specifically can manifest and lay dormant, and then when you have like a weaker immune system, which can be caused by stress. Yes, styes. I don't know if there's a direct correlation. There's a clogged pore in your eye glands, but maybe poor facial hygiene during times of stress could contribute to it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's possible.
We could do a study. Possible. That's fine.
Yeah, that's God. Oh, Noah.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Do you have any medical questions? Anything you want to show Marykathryn before we...
My family has weekly sessions. They just kind of send me pictures, so feel free. It's a free service I run. Apparently.
Really, free of charge. That's very cheap for the U.S.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I guess I'm my own personal healthcare system.
Nice. I will get back to that because I try to avoid doctors, which is not a good choice.
Well, Noah has sent me pictures of his throat when it's definitely strep. It's always great, Yeah. So feel free anytime. I've seen it all.
You're making me realize how many things I dealt with. I've actually been super healthy for the past year and a half, 2 years. So
yeah, which is awesome. That's reduction of stress for sure.
Reduction of stress, better sleep. Do it, guys. It works.
Distance from me.
Stress inducing.
That's right.
No, never, Marykathryn.
It's not like he has less illness. Like he's just not finding out because no one's diagnosing him. It's not that he's better.
Maybe that's true. Oh God. Well, I'm happy I was able to tell our listeners every single issue I've ever had. And thank you, Marykathryn, for coming on today.
Thank you guys for having me. So fun.
Thanks for coming by. Yeah.
It was so lovely to meet you, Noah. Not you, the other one.
Oh, yeah, the other Noah. I assumed that.
Yeah, nice to meet you. I'm going to come to Philly at some point. We can all hang out.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to meet Marykathryn.
Got to meet Noah.
I want you to have a great day. I want you to send love to your family because they're amazing. Thank you, Braun family, for listening to this.
They will.
Shout out to them. Thanks for joining.
Shout out to the Braun family. And,
and while they're at it, they can listen to all the other episodes too because they're also pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm sure my family's already subscribed on Apple Podcasts.
I'm looking for a new family to adopt me.
Oh, nice. Yeah, absolutely. You come to the U.S., no problem.
Great. Always looking for new families to adopt me.
Yeah.
Cool. Woohoo.
Wow, it was so nice to have Marykathryn on. She's such a lovely friend. Marykathryn, you gotta be quiet.
Sorry.
She's still here. You're still here.
That's very funny.
I'm currently looking at our like notes, Noah, and I see closing bit. It's my responsibility, and all it says is spaghetti.
Yeah. What about that? When we did talk about or plan out this episode, you said you wanted to talk about spaghetti. I wrote it down. I didn't know what you meant. I'm not sure if you knew what you meant, but you just said spaghetti, and I was like, okay. So, what's your favorite kind of spaghetti? Are you like now? I'm doing your model. Like usually it's your responsibility, but like, what about spaghetti?
What does this have to do with Marykathryn? Why did I say spaghetti?
I don't know. Do you know the Eminem song? I always misheard the lyrics for knees weak, arms spaghetti instead of mom spaghetti. It's like his palms are sweaty, his knees weak, arms spaghetti. That would make sense. Like because his arms are weak too.
No, I even remember we were riding the metro when we talked about this, and it's not. It's what is it? Arms. Oh, arms are heavy.
Arms are heavy. Mom's spaghetti.
Okay, my favorite spaghetti. My favorite pasta. If we're talking about pasta or spaghetti, I like a good like seafood spaghetti. You know, with some clams.
You're
and
such
stuff.
a Schmidt.
Oh God.
Do we have music in the end? I don't know.
Yeah, we do.